Whoops. Let's just fix that. There we go. Well, that's clearly the technical error for the day, and there won't be any more for the rest of the day. Hooray! Right, though, folks, I'm newtmechanist, and today we're going to play PowerWash Simulator because I am tired, and I don't want to dive right back into coding since it was taxing last stream. So we're going to take it easy. Before we do, though, let's check in with the kitties. We do have... I'll have to check. There's Sky and one of the others. I think it's Molly there. That begs the question of where Sammy is, though. She doesn't have a lot of preferred spots. It's Molly or Sammy. But Sherbet getting a snack, and then Ember and Mason on the bed. Let's blow that image up a little bit. Let's take a look here. That is Sammy. Couldn't quite tell if I was seeing modeling or not. The stripe on the face was the clue that it might not be who I was thinking of. I couldn't tell if it was a stripe or like cheek. Hey there, Rogue. Kitty cats indeed. We were trying to figure out who was visible there. But let's see. So that means Molly is unaccounted for. Oh, well, no, there she is. And Ember hopped down. We don't know where she's going. But okay, currently Ember is not visible. Oh, okay. She's looking at the other two getting food. All right, though. Like I said, Power Wash today. I believe we wrapped up around... those are my cats, Rogue. I have 6 cats. And I have cameras around the area so that we can keep an eye on them while we stream. Let's see. Okay, this is definitely one of the doodads. This has got to be one of the doodads from the murals. Hello, Sherbet. Hey, buddy. Sherbet, some back scratches as he passes through. Yeah. Sherbet's not a snuggly cat, but he does like, he does like a back scratch now and again. Yeah. Are you going to take a shortcut, bud? There's a table to my right where they sometimes lay down. And especially, or primarily for Sherbet, my headrest becomes a transit point across to another shelf from that table. See, apparently I'm supposed to give you some nonsense about how we were trying to break the land speed record when something bad happened, but I'm past caring at this point. Let's be honest, you don't care anyway. You're just here for the cleaning, right? Okay, yeah, and this thing has definitely... Oh, okay. Okay, so the little purple spots, it hasn't been confirmed, but the purple things are... My guess is that those are the special crystals that they took from the volcano and the merman statue, the remnants of the planet that collided with Earth during the, the early formation of the planet that resulted in the creation of the moon. And that the removal of them seems to be geologically destabilizing the area. We know that the mining company sent a whole crew in there to dig near the dormant volcano, a freshly dormant volcano, re-dormant volcano, and then suddenly declared, oh, we found nothing at all, and shut down the operation. But we've seen traces of this along this road, along this major kind of freeway here, or what once was major. That is the gas station where we saw it near the pumps. They said that the dump trucks had been passing down the road, the big mining dump trucks, and we saw the crystal remnants in there, and we can see the booster has them there. So they're using that as some sort of fuel. And this is a game about power washing. That is part of the plot line of the game about power washing. Say, how long do you think this will take? Yeah, let's try a different nozzle here. My boss wants to know how long it's going to be till I'm back out in the sand trying to break that land speed record. Oh yeah, that's a carefully crafted cover story. Hey Ember, you gonna come sit with me? Yeah. Ember is my smallest cat. She is the second oldest. And she is also the snuggliest. She really likes to sit on my shoulder and be held and get lots of attention. And she's very chatty. Recently, Sammy has become that way. Previously, Sammy was really... She would deign to sit on my lap and receive deserved attention. But now she has decided, you know what? I'm going to walk up you and I'm going to cling to you like Ember does, despite the fact that I am noticeably bigger and, musclier than her. So, where Ember will take up my shoulder and require one hand to kind of keep her attention, Sammy requires both because she will sink her claws in if she starts to slide. Yeah, crystal powered. They're extracting the super important earth power crystals in order to make a new type of fuel. And currently, what that seems to be doing is making the moon spin. And the time travelers have been telling us that there is some new disaster brewing that they once again want us helping with. We helped prevent the volcano from erupting and setting off, it's like the Pacific Ring or something like that. Chain of volcanoes that are kind of important that they not go. You know what, actually, I'm done with that guy. I'll say what I want. Don't think we need... Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to need soap on this. Might use soap just for fun, though. Let's use soap for fun. Yellow nozzle seems plenty to deal with it. Okay, so we definitely know why this thing was in the murals. Hey, hey there, Dorothea. Welcome. We're starting early today. The schedule was suddenly changed, and I had already become active enough during it, but am still drowsy, so we're taking it easy with some power wash. We did our coding yesterday, and the last gaming stream, we just did a marathon session of the third and last Amanda the Adventurer game in order to finish that up. So we're back to PowerWash. Still have no idea how much of this is left. To say, the quote futuristic car is cool looking. Is cool looking. Neat little crackling energy effect there. I had not thought about use it as fuel. So this is one of our questions was why did they specifically call out tech billionaires had shown up and were getting involved in this whole dig up the volcano thing. And now we're finding out. This is very much a classic. We have this cool new technology that we haven't actually done any research on and are just going to try to exploit the hype cycle of. Frankly, he don't deserve my loyalty after what he's put me through. Well, I hope you're better soon, Dorothea. For years, I've had to live in the woods, away from it after, away from it all after he messed up so bad. Years. Okay. This guy says he's been hiding, seems like he's been hiding out after a last thing failed. The stuff he's doing, had me doing recently don't even make sense. He's had me protesting in the desert, carting stuff through tunnels. The other day, he even had me throwing garbage at some float. I thought at least driving that thing might be fun. I mean, look at it. Beautiful. But no, before I'd even got close to the top speed, the whole thing seized up on me. I can't remember what the float would have been. Did we already power wash a parade float? I don't think so. Also, the question is, who in particular is effectively the they are talking about? Okay. The tires. Tail lights, this casing too. I love that. The tires there. It's some brand. Yes, the tail light. Oh! Hey, Flo, you anywhere near Bucketon by any chance? It's all gone down at the theater. Well, that's very cool. Alright, time lapse. Leanne, this is PowerWash Simulator 2. It is a game about being a power wash cleaner, but with a really over-the-top plot line. I don't care what anybody told me. I'm putting this thing into fly mode and getting this delivery done. Then I'm finally out. Theater sets. The Aurelius Theater. Didn't we already clean this one? I thought we... Okay, it's theater set, so it's in the back. Last night was the premiere for my latest musical, Jeff. An expose on all the shady shenanigans our mayor's gotten up to, and it seems some folks aren't fans of the truth. It all kicked off. Frankly, I'm not surprised. My work's going to flip the lid so far as this thing astronauts are going to be saying, hey, where'd that lid come from? There's no stopping us. We're running again tonight. With your help, of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had one of the prior levels was cleaning everything, but the essentially the curtain was closed. The kitty cat's still up there with the gnome. I would presume so. Oh, no, they're hanging out right there. All right, that's Ulysses and Bubbles. Where's Squeak? If the gnome up in the camera booth or the projector booth. You can always find all three of them, but you can't always reach them. Yep. Oh, there he is. So Ulysses here it was the pet cat of the mayor, who was the villain in the first game. And Ulysses running around was a bit of a constant gag in the game. On every map, you could find cat prints to show that the cat was either following you or that you were just kind of in the same area. By the start of the first game, you have effectively adopted the cat because the mayor has went into hiding. And I don't know if it's by then or by the events of the second game starting, Ulysses, it's found that Ulysses was pregnant and gave birth to Bubble and Squeak here. And there's every indication that the mayor was unaware that the cat was pregnant. Sky getting comfy. Let's actually do a quick test with the green nozzle. That actually seems adequate. We had more than 1,000. What kind of cats did you have, Rogue? I just realized you're going to be getting a sneaky as you work. No letting anything slip, you hear? Actually, maybe I should give you a brief outline, stop you getting the wrong idea. Feel free to ignore, of course. I knew someone that had a cat named Daisy once. A very orange cat, if I recall. Maybe? No, I can't remember. Loki can be a pretty solid name for a cat. They are prone to strange mischief. Oh, I'm sorry. I've had the water sound off for you here. It's a very white noise game. Hello, Ember. Yeah. Ember has come to sit with me. So Ember likes my right shoulder. So she will sit with her forepaws on my shoulder and just purr away. Sammy does the same pose but on my left shoulder. But Ember won't tolerate it. If Sammy tries to do that, she'll run off. Hey there, Drew. Welcome. Seems like I'm chatting with somebody you can't see in the chat. It is on one of the other streams. It's widescreen. Widescreen on Twitch and YouTube, and then tall form on YouTube. Watch where and how you'd like. Hello. I think Ember's a little put out that one of the other cats has discovered her secret technique for extra attention. Okay. Molly, what are you doing? Just don't get any ideas, man. Okay, so one of the cleaning jobs was cleaning the ex-mayor, now somehow the mayor of the county. I feel like he's just saying he's mayor of a county. I don't think that's a thing anywhere. But we cleaned his Zeppelin. And we can see the people that are making a play about exposing his plans. He is flying his Zeppelin out to a coastal region with a big old net on it. And this is going to be... Yeah, this is another merperson statue. Showing the statue... what I'm guessing is that this is, the one in the desert. We have... the glowing gems, him flying away with a net, and gemless statue. This is indicating the mayor used his airship to steal the very important jewels from the statue. I I like games where we can speculate what is going on like this, where it's even if it's not a game mechanic, it feels like there is the opportunity to do that. Now, I especially like games where that sort of speculation is, what the game is. But that is frankly a rare kind of game. But this one being the type of game where that is something that you do, where there's the kind of narrative where you can try to put the pieces together sooner based on what you find out, is interesting. Use the yellow nozzle there. There we go. Good. Now we'll do a sweep from front to back. I have been told, Dorothea, that there are folks that like to watch my stream in that fashion. That they come here because they find the stream relaxing. I like that. That's the kind of stream that I like to have. Regardless of what I'm playing. Need the trident for this. We're using yellow. I think the trident is just the better choice anyway. Trident really is everything that yellow is, but generally better. Much more, maintains pressure better, has a higher amount of pressure, and the same sort of coverage that yellow gets. Excellent. Scene 1. The Mauka Atu Desert. All the things are like dirt jokes. The site of the Muckingham Merman. We open with the full chorus line as the mayor's cronies toil against the oppressive heat and carve out the gems with their pickaxes. We close out with a throaty baritone solo from Clem Bass playing the mayor as he addresses the baying crowd. I think the baying crowd one might refer to when he is touring and gets to Muckingham, where they all still remember that he's kind of a villain and they run him out of town. So the merman statue in the desert, I think, revealed the ancient temple which relayed the beam from the merman to the volcano and quieted the volcano. I think that's how it went. So removing the merman crystals means the volcano isn't being suppressed anymore. and then subsequently removing more of the energy crystals seems to be doing something to the moon. See, I wonder if it's not just that the moon and the energy crystals are kind of the same substance in this fiction. And if it isn't that the volcano being rich in those crystals is in some way tied to the ancient civilization. You know, maybe this is some sort of big generator that they are, or some sort of machine that they're tampering with by extracting all of this stuff. At the moment, though, the ancient civilization's connection is largely that the time travelers interfered with their culture in order to send messages to the future. Just like they did with the kind of European-style monks in the area. The implication here is that the mayor sent somebody to trash this theater in order to try and delay this play getting out, because it looks like it implicates him in it absolutely implicates him in the theft of those jewels, which is kind of the inciting incident of this narrative. Of the sequel's narrative. You know, those go missing and things start getting weird again. There is kind of a post-game narrative bit of free DLC to the first game that I never played through. So there might be elements of the kind of narrative that were subsequent to the base narrative of the first game that I am unaware of. They've been decent about introducing the narrative from the prior game without full info dump. Generally, it's much more of a, hey, remember me? I'm that guy from when? And then they move along. So much more organic reminder of the plot line through implication. Some of the people are, you know, hey, you were there and you helped me prevent that volcanic eruption, or that kind of thing. But they also just might be mentioning some prior events, and that can remind you, you know. It is a game that I can get really focused on, so I will try to keep talking. You know, it's sort of a thing that you do in streaming. But forgive me if I get quiet for a moment, because I just sort of trance out doing this. looks like we'll need a ladder to get up onto... Well, no, maybe not. There we go. Okay. So far, we have not required the ladder. Apparently, people speedrun this, and it's the sort of, like, you know, categories like starting equipment only sort of stuff. So using the final tier nozzles like the Trident or similar makes a lot of this easier. Because again, yellow nozzle coverage, red nozzle, yellow to green nozzle coverage, red nozzle pressure out of the Trident. So it is very easy to clean pretty much anything with that kind of nozzle. So you're not considering soap or changing the extension length on the thing as much. You still will. There are some places where it's just hard to reach while still keeping pressure. And for a majority of the game, you don't have this. I feel like they did a better job of encouraging you to do progression through the various nozzles and whatnot. No, you can't look in that. You can't. Ollie is such a staticky cat. He's got that kind of fur that in winter weather, you run your hand along it and you will build up a static charge. Like, just running your hand along her fur once can do it. Whereas Ember, pretty much nothing. Ember's element is clearly not lightning aligned. In terms of Pokemon typing, I feel like all cats are at least partially fire. Just because of the amount of heat their little bodies can give off whenever they decide to, sit on or near you. When I'm sleeping, Molly likes to scooch right up into the adjacent to my knees or into the crook of my knees when she is sleeping, or when we're both sleeping at the same time. And she is toasty when she's doing that. This one is definitely, I was about to say set piece, but it is. It is absolutely a set piece. But from a game perspective, this one is... Let's see if it's still functioning. Hopefully things will reappear soon. On the Twitch side, it's showing up. Oh, I think we might be functional again, folks. I think we're potentially functional again. Hard to say. So I'm giving it a moment to make sure that it's working. I don't know why OBS is misbehaving again. I know I've been having some problem with static discharges, knocking stuff out. Well, I see you're present there, Lore, so I think the stream is actually working on tall form, so we got that going. We got that going then. How's your day been, Lore? Definitely very icy over here as well. I mean, happily a more slow day. You have to appreciate the effort that they put into the stage play here. Mechanically swappable scenes like this is non-trivial, you know? Yeah, let's use soap. Yikes. Did it do, like, windshield damage? I always feel really concerned driving behind large vehicles toting, like, pipes and whatnot, you know? The cargo never seems as secure as it should be. But like a sheet of ice breaking free from on top of a semi would definitely be very dangerous. I mean, sure, they're absolutely liable, but that doesn't help you if you know, die from it. Green seems good enough for this, and that is sufficient coverage. Okay, so there was a hatch by the gazebo. This is another one that we cleaned, and we did see the hatch there. They described that it was for... that it was something that the band can use to escape if the crowd's not liking it. But the indication here is that they used it to transport stuff, which would explain why the gazebo got supernaturally dirty. We end with a hushed quartet, Panic Stations, as the mayor's cronies smuggle the gems into the secret tunnel under the cloak of darkness, while Oscar Mee plays a sleepless park warden scouring the scene with his torchlight. To be honest, Oscar was far too loud last night. We'll need to rein him in. Oof. That's super dangerous. And also, you know, super negligent of the driver to not have cleared off the sheets on top there. You know, danger to others. I mean, that's good at least. I'll have to climb up to get the rest of this. Okay. Definitely will help us to get the ladder here. Might not actually need it after all. There we go. Little front of the bandstand prop wasn't cleared. Let's just use soap. Easy enough for, like, one steady pass with the trident, but I feel like this will technically be a little faster, and, you know, the soap is neat. See if I can pull the OBS logs and spot what caused the freeze up to happen there. It's the second time recently that I've had to do a restart on the stream to get it functional again. No, it's doable and all, just annoying. If I make a button that is kill the OBS process, it'll be even easier to deal with it. It's kind of like if my microphone dies out. I won't know until it's already been a problem for a bit. Scene 3, the National Park in Power Falls, where the secret tunnel emerges at a cottage straight out of a storybook. Here the music takes a menacing turn as a disgruntled stooge reluctantly transfers the gems to a hypercar. We just washed the hypercar. There's the mayor's helicopter that lands on the back of his just grossly ostentatious limo. Is this the coffee house? Or is the secret tunnel inside of it supposed to be the church? It's disconcerting the number of things, Laura, even without Microsoft's desperate bid to say that they're using AI in their OS. Even without that, the amount of bloatware that they've started to incorporate into Windows updates that does phone home behavior, unless you know how to find it and stop it. It's like, guys, you already have an effective monopoly on a majority of the personal computing market. Reminds me of the Brennan Lee Mulligan Message from the CEO series, the one about Oreo cookies. We absolutely should be resting on our laurels. We done made the good cookie. And Alexander wept because there was no more to conquer. It is the... Let's pretend that the stock market is actually, you know, the economy problem. Well, ultimately, the increasing share value is the beginning and end of responsibilities that a company has. So instead of we make a thing and we make plenty of money on the thing in order to continue to make the thing. Yep, that one that is visible right now is Mason. His brother is the same coloration, but is much more asymmetric in patterning. Then you can actually see Ember here. That's Ember. She is a dilute calico. Or just a diluted, but, you know, however you want to... Yep. She is pale gray stripy with white underbelly and socks. And one of her ears is a very pale orange, like that whole region. I saw a write-up on cat fur coloration, and it's really complicated, like way more complicated than, like, human hair. We've heard from our sources that this particular stooge was an absolute colossus with a big bushy beard, but our baritone, Greg Bolero, is clean-shaven and whatnot. Okay, so a running thing from the first game is the Sasquatch in the woods. At this cottage, so this is the tea cottage, where there was it's kind of a primal scream kind of retreat, they described it as, where the whole gimmick was, you come out here and there's you yell and scream and throw mud at the cottage to relieve stress. And they talked about how this gigantic, big hairy guy showed up and participated. So that was the mayor's henchman showing up, venting stress about what was going on. The guy that drove the car, he's the one that when we were doing that, he was like, I'm done with this. You know, the things that he's had me doing have had me hiding in the woods. So that's why there has been the Sasquatch in the woods, is there's that big guy trying to lay low. And we'll do soap again. Just because. So in this one, in the first one, the mayor was working with a, eccentric billionaire who had a private jet with a laser mounted on it, and they were using it on the volcano. I can't remember if they said it was for mining purposes or something like that. The implication being that that guy knew about the crystals as well and was trying to get them. And now we have the mayor doing it again with big tech companies. And we see one of the things resulting from that is the flying car. He was initially a bit put out by it all, but he knew that it wasn't about him and soldiered through despite oppressive lighting. I can't... It's about the guy that was that is the actor for the big goon. A term that in the slang of the minute has been sadly co-opted for completely irrelevant usage. Though not entirely, but it's very adjacent. The common usage adds an ER, which implies that the, actual, other usage of it is now a verb. And then thinking on it further, yes, it is used as a verb. I still don't understand why it has been verbed for that purpose. Why that word for that purpose? Scene 4. The foothills of Mount Rushless, where far beneath the earth, Blake Thrust hides out in his secret man cave. Blake Thrust is the rich guy with the jet from the first game. For me, this scene hinged on whether Tony Welk had the gravitas to play enigmatic man of mystery, Greg Thrust. In the first game, that was one of the jobs, was cleaning the secret laser plane. So perhaps we're going to get a Y, and is it a why? Because there's this, like, you know, scheme that I have to make the monies, and, you know, forget the consequences, or is it going to be something more involved or perhaps subversive? You know, the sort of like the research I was doing for this revealed that. The presence of the car implies to me that it is a we found this cool stuff and realized that we could just use it as batteries. Tangentially, Laura, did you see that they have released the automaton equivalent of the Gloom Hive worlds for the bugs for bots? The molten mining worlds. Speaking of the recent Helldivers content update, for those that are unfamiliar. Could be interesting. It is. The war bond for that arrived on a couple of days ago. I think the minigun is page 3 though, so bunch of medals after the Superbucks. Reposition too much, get the edges we can see from here. He hardly missed a note as he prowled the stage, victorious after finally obtaining the gems and loading them into his prototype time machine. The rogue had gone full rogue. Okay, well, there we go. I'll admit this last scene is pure speculation, but whatever Thrust plans to do with those gems, let's hope he never gets them. Nice. That is definitely on the cards. Some Helldivers later tonight. They do have special missions for it, which is neat. I hope they persist in that. They definitely need to do more of that, where different factions on different planets have custom missions. Move a lot of the existing missions over to side objectives and, like, submissions, you know? Kind of waiting for him to use the time machine, go back, meet the other time travelers, and, like, change his ways when they talk to him and are like, oh, actually, you know, it turns out he's a reasonable guy. Yeah, he decided against all the evil. Though I would also accept he turns out to be one of the time travelers. That would be a bit more convoluted, since the actions in the present are what are prompting them to try to deal with this. Perhaps Blake is tired of being thwarted by time travelers. Temporal stasis field prop. Switch prop. Okay, there we go. Go. Just a couple of spots there. This is the reason that using the soap can still be useful, because at enough range, even things like the trident can miss little spots. Whereas if you soap the whole surface, all of the dirt that the soap touched becomes really visible. And is removed as long as water of any pressure hits it. So if you use soap, you're less likely to miss little spots as you go. Little areas where the pressure might be enough to clear it, but it's far enough away that maybe, you know, not enough pressure hit that particular spot. So, I mean, you'll inevitably still get it because you have the dirt finder, but... Alright. Peace, Flush. Can you get yourself back to the motel? Got a bit of a weird one for you. The filthy motel that they're converting into, like, a day spa. Alright, time lapse. This one should be interesting because the scene will keep changing. Yep. Flo, incredible work. We've just had another amazing night, and the set looked popping. We might have to get a stand-in for Greg, though. I don't think he can do three shows a day in that getup. I believe the line that we missed was that Greg is not a big enough guy to properly convey the individual he is portraying, so they're making him wear a big old costume. The 18-wheeler. You seen it yet? The 18-wheeler in the yard? Grubby as you like, and we know you like it. You like grubby. The two fellas driving it came in a stinking mood, claiming to have driven through a really bad dirt cloud, asking if I got a car wash. I said, firstly, take those angry vibes out of my establishment, and secondly, no, I do not have a car wash. I do, however, know the country's finest power washer. They said that'll do and put down a wedge of notes. I've popped them in the green room, so you won't be hearing from them for a while. I don't mind saying that something's very off about them. The one I spoke to was kind of average looking, but the other one was a straight up Sasquatch. Yep. So the mayor's minions once again. Let's do a quick pass and look. I'm guessing we'll see purple on the back. No. Okay. It's more concealed then. Pick up phone. Jeff Jefferson. Joe, why aren't you picking up? You better not have lost your phone again. And where are you? What's taking so long? Jeff Jefferson the 13th is the mayor. You did find a truck big enough to pick up Rocky and the bike, right? We need those gems to thrust yesterday. That bizarre dirtification thing's been happening again. Then don't get that washer involved, you hear? They already know too much. And for goodness sake, no telling folks it was a dirt cloud, okay? Sounds ridiculous. No telling anyone the codes 1, 2, 3, 4 neither. I wonder where that code will come into play. Okay, let's just do a strategic small object pass here. Oh yeah, before I forget, they said not to look inside. They were quite insistent about that. Not that you can anyway. It's locked. I've already checked. One of the best ways to get somebody to look inside is to tell them that they absolutely cannot look inside. Also a fun thing to do as a, if you are designing a D&D session, is to have the special MacGuffin that the party is supposed to get for the very suspicious individual. And the individual tells them, and under no circumstances open the box. It's very important, but I can't let you see it. Or even, but that one, they're definitely going to look. But if you pair that, instead of just it's secret, say it's terribly dangerous and nobody can see what's inside, Only, you know, I will deal with it once I have it. They're going to open the box. They're absolutely going to open that box at some point. If you have it planned out properly, then the thing in the box is terribly dangerous. And the party probably doesn't have what they need to deal with it. Exactly. They did not lie to you. It is dangerous. There are consequences. So the mayor's phone call there kind of confirms, or at least implies that the plot described in the play is actually true. Yep. Would you like to make this a campaign about the original plot line, or do you want this to be a campaign about, you know, opening that box? And that's the fun part about it. It's, if it's meant to be like a brutal one-shot campaign, or, you know, your quote-unquote hardcore or hard mode gameplay, then yes, it's, you know, the box can be a bomb, and, you know, new characters are about to be written. But a long-running campaign, you can absolutely just like, okay, that's what we're doing now. This has changed from a, you know, epic fantasy generic epic fantasy narrative into, how do we get Bob's soul back now? I mean, oops, we probably shouldn't have released that, is a pretty solid core narrative. Especially when it is absolutely self-inflicted. Beyond the Pale tour. I think I recall hearing them describe this band. Or, you know, mentioning that it exists. Boundaries, identify sub-targets, and remove them. Zeno Ellington. Hey, y'all heard Buckets on tour truck's been lifted. Said they might have to pull out from the show unless it's found. Okay, and this is a stolen truck. You serious? Who was it? Some lubricity wannabe on the SAB. Well, why else would someone do it? What other games do I play? I like to find kind of puzzly, reveal the story kind of things, or dread-focused horror games. You know, not hide in a closet from the monster, but instead, you know, this is intensely creepy the entire time kind of stuff. Constantly unsettling. I like detective games. I find some kinds of puzzle games relaxing, but as far as like people watching them, it's kind of hit or miss. I guess the folks that just like to listen to the stream might find it okay to just hear me reciting numbers for a while. I do like that the mayor's whole cell phone call there was very much Saturday morning villain yelling at their minions. I've seen that one around. Life is Strange, I mean. Haven't tried it. Saying earlier, one of the ones that we did recently was the third Amanda the Adventurer game. The third one's not as good as the first two, but and I have issues with how they did the narrative, but it was still an enjoyable game. You know, it was fun for what it was. I'm not unhappy with the way that they chose to wrap it up. I just feel like they could have done more or better. You know, it's one of those such is life kind of things. The Phoenix Wright games, those can be kind of... I think, on average, they are very good. There are times when less so. But again, that's kind of common. There are some games that are fun to play with friends that I, you know, wouldn't play otherwise. I do kind of like Vampire Survivor style games. I mean, it's why I am making one. I've finally gotten around to doing the Castlevania content in that one, and that is... There's a lot of ground to cover in the Castlevania content. both just in amount, but also in that they've got a lot of like unlocks that are related to the various Castlevania storylines and the lore to it. You know, like they're clues that are for unlocking characters that are like help this person avenge their family personally kind of thing. So if you know enough about that person to know what, you know, hurt their family, that kind of stuff. Yep. I mean, I find I'm similar with that, Rogue, is that the what kind of games do you play question is often bound, has the caveat of, but primarily whatever has caught my fancy at the moment. I might be playing a particular game very intensely, and then I just lose interest. There are a lot of RPGs that are that way for me, where it's like I'm really engaged, and then something takes me away from the game for long enough that I just don't have the momentum on it anymore, and I just don't feel like it. Or the story just loses its hold for me, you know? And for an RPG, I really have to be kind of invested in the story to want to finish it. On top of the game needing to be engaging. Oh, wow. Super filthy. All right. Can we use green on this, though? It looks like we can. Oh, no, that's white. We can definitely use green, then. This is a canister that has at least been in contact with the special crystals. The purpley spots. That is one thing that I like. I'm not I don't miss the fact that there were different types of dirt in different types of soap and whatnot before, or that soap was a consumable item that you had to constantly purchase if you wanted to use it. On top of the fact that soap wasn't terribly useful. But one of the things that the game had is that you could see what kind of dirt you were looking at. It would tell you, like, oh, this is moss, this is mud, that kind of thing. Don't think there are options for that. Yeah. Is it like, you know, a deal breaker in any way? No. I just thought it was cute. Now, why did they do it that way? Narrative. Because the reason for some of this stuff getting dirty is the supernatural dirt cloud, which to me implies that some of this wouldn't be the kind of dirt that they were mentioning and might ruin the surprise in a way. Not that they would necessarily reveal right up front that it was, you know, supernatural volcano dirt because that comes from, but you would be able to tell sooner and without as much confirmation that, or without as many reveals that something was in fact wrong with that. Like, you can already come to those conclusions. But I like that it's more organic, like it is. Get back behind that. There we go. Those are the full gems from the statue in the desert. Truth fairies, Harper Shaw. Hey all, wish he's found some pretty incriminating messages linking the mayor to the gem theft. Sounds promising, but even if we've caught him red-handed, he's still got every lawyer in the county in his pocket. Not every lawyer. This is the kind of pseudo-retired super lawyer that we talked to earlier. Xavier Lesage is even better than Sherman Holmes, and the mayor is toast. Merman's gems, and not a moment too soon. I'll organize getting these back in place on the statue. Let's finish the floor segment here. But yeah, the fact that there is some sort of like supernatural cloud of dirt that chases the crystals and even like the smaller fragments of it around. Like, what's going on with that? I would like to know more. I have been trying to get some play into Final Fantasy XIV again and get caught up with the plot. Just taken me a bit to get rolling, you know? Not that I'm, I don't find the game enjoyable. It's just I haven't been playing it for a while, and there's a lot to catch up on, and I can only play an MMO for so long before my wrists start hurting. So it's got to be, like, rationed, you know? Wouldn't necessarily be every MMO that does it, but for the most part, if it's a mouse and keyboard MMO, it's probably going to result in a whole lot of like extra hotkey stuff to accommodate extra abilities. Or it will be oriented towards gamepads, and gamepads make it way worse. I suspect that this is a tarp over the supercar. I still wonder why they call a lot of the tires with a Y. I feel like there's got to be a distinction. It's kind of like how you'll see like on food menus and whatnot, you will have chicken wings with altered letters. So it is not WINGS. It'll be things like WYNGZ. And that's because they are not chicken wings. They're not that part of the chicken. There was recently frankly, a sloppy judgment from a panel of judges that clearly it wasn't even they didn't know the law. It was more a matter of they did not stop and think about the subject matter in any fashion. There we go. It was, hey, the soup. Free your diary, Rinson. We've got something huge in Detergento that you definitely want to get in on. I think that's the parade float then. But it was a person ordered like boneless chicken or something like that, and there were bones in, and they choked on it. And they sued the restaurant because the restaurant was trying to claim, well, there's no guarantee, like just because it says boneless doesn't mean that there's not allowed to be bones in it. And the assertion was, we ordered it boneless because we wanted no bones in it. And the judge actually sided with the restaurant. And I get that, like, if it was a little bone or something like that, it slipped through, it's bad. But the ruling was that just like people shouldn't assume that because they order boneless that there's not going to be getting bones. There's no reasonable assumption for a person to do that, any more than it's reasonable that somebody should think that they are the actual wings of a buffalo. It's like, yeah, that's why it's buffalo wings. There is no reasonable assumption that a buffalo has wings. But when you order boneless, it's the same as saying seedless, you know? That is the expectation. That is precisely a reasonable person's expectation. Well done, Wishy. Thanks to you, Jeff Jefferson the 13th is banged to rights and has been stripped of his title. Rocky's confessed and Xavier Lesage is taking the case. Honestly, never thought we'd see the day. I'm going to meet Sonya at the merman statue to put the gems back in. Looks like we're going to find our time-traveling buddy's master plan after all. Find out. By the way, you probably didn't have to clean the entire inside after we found the gems, but I admire your relentless professionalism. Yep, town floats. Okay, so the mayor had his henchmen like throw dirt at these for some reason. It's like a veil has been lifted, isn't it? With that awful mayor out of the way, we're bringing everyone together tonight for a celebration that he always promised but never delivered. A caldera festival for everyone, combining all our talents. Should really be something. Before we do that, though, you'll need to wash down a few of the town floats. The Town of the Year rivalry got a bit out of hand towards the end there. We've parked them somewhere nice and quiet for you. Okay, let's see. Do we have... Pretty sure we don't even remotely have the money. Oh, no, we're actually getting pretty close. Let's give this a try, actually. Okay, let's use the Urban Extreme with the Super Duper nozzle. Okay, I think ultimately the same problem that I had before with it, and that's that its coverage is kind of fiddly. It makes up for the primary weakness of this model, though, in that the whirling nozzles on it applies better coverage than it would normally get. But it still feels like the Trident does that too. Well, we'll keep trying it for a little bit here. Give it a legitimate go. That was what I wanted to do. I still think the washer itself takes up too much of your field of view. But it is definitely effective. And that is the core requirement, is it does its job. Definitely be more prone to missing spots, though. That in mind. Soapy, soapy, soapy. Find the gnome and do the whole launch myself into the air to ascend things maneuver. So I think we should be able to get proper coverage from the ground otherwise. Sprucey, I'm delighted to tell you that with JJ13 out of the picture, we're now the official guardian of Muckingham's mascot, Ulysses. Congratulations. Oh, sorry, I should say former mascot. Ulysses will be delighted to learn that she is officially relieved of festival duties. Now we have something else planned now. Ah, okay, so Ulysses was the town mascot, not the mayor's cat. At least on paper, it would seem. That was a little micro story beat there, the fact that the mayor said they were going to take their cat back. Now, this thing absolutely does what it is supposed to be strong at, and that's it has more pressure towards the center of it, so you can use wide nozzles more easily with this. You lose effective coverage, but the cleaning capability of the coverage you get is higher. Then you can use that like very heavy like rotating nozzle to get some of the trickier coverage dealt with. Instead of back and forth, you kind of swirl this one a little bit more. Since it is, you have a heavy dot inside of a circle, or a circle inside of a ring, however you want to look at it. The bright blue stripes and the gems on the end of the little tail feathers here are separate objects. Can't wait to see this roll by later. People let them have it proper. Goat, duck, you carry the failings of a county on your backs. I doff my hat to you. The goat into duck delayed the mayor's, what is it called? the mayor's car and his escort, you know? Like an actual goat and duck were in the way of the group. Yeah, the actual sprayer is a whole thing. The Urban X Stream. And then the actual nozzle creates this... Oh man, it's actually more of a pentagon. Almost like a spiral inside of a pentagon that it makes. Children, cover your eyes. It's the devil's power washer. $1,800 for the full distance on that one, but again, I'm not sure that this is necessarily better than the Trident, but it's not obviously worse, kind of thing, you know? In any event, how are you doing today, Taz? Is your Thursday treating you well? I mean, given the nature of the anecdotes about the field of work you're in, Tess, I feel like you saying you had to deal with some really dumb stuff at work today is the equivalent of saying, yeah, it's another day at the office. Was it one of those, here, you can test it, but you have to use this altered URL kind of scenarios? Oh, that's even worse. Even worse. I mean, the thing is still gaudy as get out, the Urban Extreme. But, yeah, I think both of the washers have the same kind of... It's that you can pick either one. The difference between them is subtle enough that it's not really a big deal. Hey there, Staffy. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I don't know how far along we actually are, but we are making headway in PowerWash. As usual, our general thing here. As usual with the PowerWash stream, it's a, we're taking it easy and we'll see how far we get, you know? We had a bit of an early start today. Very tired, but had enough motivation that we got going. And here we are. Okay, confession time. I have no clue on the others, but I did muck up Lubra City's float. I even tried to pin it on Pumpkin. Sorry, I saw someone had grubbed up our float and lashed out. It is going to be a circle of destruction here. A stooge of the mayor's just confessed to doing the Bucketon one. Yeah, Bucketon thought somebody else did it. They attacked their float. Repeat. To give it to you though, Thor, that peacock looks finessed. So we've resolved the theft of the gems from the merman statue, and we have the mayor has been taken out of the picture for now, at least in theory. But we have not resolved Blake, who seems to be the driving force behind this and the previous game's narrative. may have missed a task, but there is a... One of our washing jobs was a very kind of futuristic-looking vehicle that was very clearly fueled by the special crystals. And we discovered that the mayor was behind having the crystals from the statue stolen, as well as being the person who kind of was supplying the henchmen. And his primary henchman turns out to be the Sasquatch that everybody's been seeing or talking about is the mayor's henchman. His appearance at the kind of stress relief retreat was because he was getting fed up with the mayor. But it sounds like the mayor was stealing them for Blake Thrust, again, the super rich guy from the first game. It sounds like he's just a big guy, like a really big, hairy guy. He talked about how he'd been having to hide out in the woods because of the stuff that the mayor had been having him do. So it sounds like he's been working for the mayor for a while and is sort of like his, not quite like a hitman, but it is the kind of the dirty jobs guy. We still have received no information on, you know, how the very clearly evil mayor managed to become mayor of a county, let alone how they have mayors of counties around here. But it seems like, you know, between the lawyer that we worked with earlier in the story and the fact that, you know, we have a recording, like an answering machine or a voicemail that he left his minion that is essentially, okay, remember, we just did a crime, so you guys make sure you don't reveal that we did crimes to other people. You know, don't make sure nobody looks in the crime truck or knows that the password to the crime truck is 1234. That's what I was thinking, Tess, is that it wasn't like an election thing. He just came out and said, yeah, I'm the mayor of the county now. And everybody was like, huh, I don't remember voting in that, but, you know, it must be true. Because they wouldn't let him say it if it wasn't true. The mysteriously all-powerful and completely incompetent they. You get really, like, it's a very practical... All the people in this game series give a very strong, down-to-earth small-town vibe as far as how they react to individuals. You know, how he did something that angered the monks in the first game, and they went out and egged his mansion. The job does not convey respect. It conveys power and responsibilities. You know, it's he's allowed to do this, but that doesn't mean we have to like him. Big old early 90s boombox on this thing. Actually, it's got more of a look of like a alarm clock. Yeah, him just declaring that he can do things really scans for how this has all been playing out. Again, well, they wouldn't let him say it / do it if it wasn't right. They just sort of shrug and go along with it, you know? It's that sort of, well, can't argue with that logic kind of reply, you know? It's like a raccoon in a pink paint bucket. Huh. But there's stuff like, it doesn't seem like there's a city council in this setting or anything like that. It's just the mayor does stuff. Like you said, it's like, oh, you know, we're having a town of the year competition. That's a thing? Yeah? Do we have to participate? Yes. Okay. Because the guy gets removed from power, and they're like, oh, hey, we can finally do that festival that he wouldn't let us do. Some strange degree of supreme power. Well, simultaneously, if they can actually catch him doing something he's not supposed to, he is vulnerable. But it seems like there's a lot of leeway in what he's supposed to be doing. A cute little raccoon thing. Wishy. We're finally at the site of the merman now, preparing to put his gems back in position. First things first, the headstone. Back in, waiting for the beam. Upward and downward angle out of the way, be able to hit some of the other surfaces. We jump back down. That's Bucketon. I don't know which one is the peacock. There it is. Can we see the beam from here? Once we had washed the merman off, it activated the beam, which again creates a strong connection between the, dirt and the that crystal and the corresponding beam to it. You have to appreciate how they have a noticeably individual theme with the floats. They're not all just it's just an animal kind of thing. Like the Bucketon one has their mascot animal, but also the bucket of paint, which has an implication of a like a particular craftsmanship, if not a a strong artistic community angle. Or just that they make a lot of paint there. Any of those work. The peacock one doesn't give us a lot. Outside of possible stereotypes of what a peacock represents. This one, though, has the really obvious agriculture edge imagery to it. The Town of the Year competition also had real strong Dance for Me Peasants vibe to it. because the way he talked about the towns in the festival, in the competition, really had a, I've already made up my choice based on how you people act, you know? You know, I didn't get a nearly a good enough reception from these yokels. They're not going to win. So that's an additional part of the question is, why did he have this? Why was it important that that particular location won the festival? Or won the competition? Can't remember which one it was. Orvin's Futurescape. Next up, the Heartstone. Back in, but nothing. Thought it was supposed to do something. Wait, didn't Cerulean say to give it a flip? Try that. Do you have it in the right way? Have you tried turning the ancient statue off and on again? A second beam shot straight out of the Heartstone. The merman's vibrating like a bee in the florist. Ancient laser power crystals seem to be the, you know, the long-lost civilization equivalent of USB cables. You've always got to flip it over a couple of times before you figure out how to get it socketed in properly. There. Drowsiness is kicking in. Hopefully we can keep going for a while yet. They're going to have to buy a whole new set of ancient crystal charging cables for that. The old ones don't work anymore. Yeah, you'll have to order them. None of the retailers have them yet, and they're entirely proprietary. We know. We're very sorry for the inconvenience that this may have caused. Will that be debit or credit? Anybody ever see it's a BBC comedy called Blackadder? Blackadder, like the snake, you know? Hey, Marcella. Welcome. Wishy, what's going on? Wasn't that second beam supposed to do something? There's still no change with the volcano, or the moon for that matter. I think something's wrong with Cerulean's plan. Yeah, so we know that stuff does something when it is extracted, because they keep describing a dirt cloud chasing them around when they're messing with that stuff. So I wonder if it's less that, like... I wonder if the beam suppresses the crystals, you know? If it's a different type of thing. Hard to say at this point. Definitely getting a bit drowsy, so we'll see. But Blackadder is a comedy series, and it kind of goes through history following a particular family line. The main character always being kind of a lazy, conniving individual. And there's one exception to that, though, and it's the one that happens during... at the very least, an approximation of World War II. And he is seems like he is a low-tier officer in the trenches. And while most of the others end with usually things going badly in a comedic way for the main character, that one instance is where it gets absurdly serious at that moment. It's not funny. They go up and over the trenches with the presumption that everybody that you've been watching dies in that one. Like, oh, this was a choice. Otherwise, it is British comedy hijinks. Oh, absolutely. Like, from a writing perspective, like, that story sitting by itself is strong. It's in the context of the rest of the series, though. It is a odd departure. But even in the context of the rest of the series, potentially they make it hit that much harder because they are presenting, this is how serious this was, you know? Like, so serious that even in this comedy production, it has to be, eventually, it has to be serious. Which is interesting. You generally don't get that sort of... We don't get a lot of that sort of writing, you know? Just the act of making this statement is a statement in and of itself. Yeah, MASH is another, I think, marker of that kind of writing where it's silly hijinks for a lot of it, but with that one, it was throughout, that it was a pervasive element constantly that would occasionally show up, like, very explicitly. But otherwise, it was always lurking there. The sheer concept of the setting. Like, that particular camp, the fact that it was a surgeon's camp, or a medic's area or something like that. So we have a plan. Sonia's going to stay and secure the statue while I follow the beam to wherever that's headed. Karen says you can join me up there as soon as you can. If her theory's correct, I'm going to need you. There wasn't a Heartstone beam before. So it's probable I'm going to have to clean whatever that is, the second beam is aiming at. County Goat doesn't have a lot of subparts as far as that went. Its body was a region, On towards the end. Of this particular level. Paying attention that there's that whole region behind it here. Want to get the top of the ring there, as well as the top of these plant frond things. All of these angles from above would be kind of a hassle otherwise. That are legally distinct from Pikachu. Mouse-looking thing. everything we can get in that kind of top-down region there. Saw a little clip recently. It was something like people the person sitting in the car saying, "People have asked me why I drink so much Diet Coke. And that's because I have this condition where my body doesn't produce its own Diet Coke naturally. So I have to I have to get it artificially." I found that amusing. It's made with a process. Like, setting aside the just on its face nonsense that a lot of that entails, there's also just, like, that word just means you did a thing to it. You realize that, right? Like, washing it is a process. You know, we grow it 100% without any added, like, fertilizers or pesticides, and we harvest it using this machine, this kind of stuff, by hand, you know. We hand pick every grain of wheat and then put it in a silo, and then it is delivered straight to a grocery store. That's a process. It has been processed. Well, that's not what we mean. Yes, you've made it meaningless. Well done. And, you know, that tends to be on top of all of the actual nonsense things that they're pointing to being good. Yeah, if you are eating a fruit or a vegetable, it is pretty much a certainty that it is a GMO, no matter what they call it, you know. Oh, but ours are super special ones that didn't have this done to it. Yeah, but that's not what you are saying. You're saying that it is not a genetically modified organism, and sorry to tell you, pretty much all of them are at this point. Ear and its necklace pendant. I think cork is another one. You know, like cork board kind of cork. Things that are just kind of the material that is treated or aged after it's cut from the plant. Listen, you really are the scourge of all that is filth. I genuinely can't wait for all the celebrations to begin. Click. Mount Rushless. The fumarole. Okay. So, I wonder if this is pointing at the secret lair of Blake Thrust. Followed the second beam all the way up Mount Rushless, and it's led me to this weird door in the side of the volcano. I don't know what you think, but it looks like it was built by the pacifists to me. Garen thinks the beam was designed to pass through, but the system's all blocked up with dirt. We've cleared some of the community funds stolen by the mayor for you to do your thing up there. Karen and Michelle will be watching on your feed, just in case. Good luck. As it's supposed to be that the crystals were being supplied to Blake in order for him to power his time machine. Oh, yeah, just this whole thing. Okay. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a different color. There's kind of an indication that the guy just goes where people tell him and that the money just sort of happens. What's that scooter doing up here? I'm gonna have a look and find out if I can find the owner. Oh, this is the snack guy. The one that said he would drive through the woods or something like that to get the snacks at a store nearby, like down the road, in order to get them when they're on like super clearance, like just before they're thrown out, kind of thing. That something was blocking his path and he tried to go off-roading on his little mobility scooter. And it went badly. Ultimately, really think the Prima Vista is the way to go. For me. For me. Again, they're very similar. Just the Trident head, while it doesn't have the power at a point, is just so much more versatile, given that you generally don't need the power at a point that the Urban X gives you. Like, whatever spot the Urban X special nozzle is pointed at, that spot is clean now. Generally, you'll be cleaning more than just, that one spot. But you think about it, this guy has been in business in the area for several years now, it would seem, at least a couple. And there is still the ongoing thing of his company name is either still changing because of the person promoting it, or just people have the old flyers and whatnot that have the changed company name, and he responds to the calls no matter what they're calling him or anything like that. Like, he doesn't care. Just somebody tells him to go clean stuff, and he does. And then while he's doing it, the people are just throwing money at him. And it's like, oh, that's nice. I can buy a new washer with this. Look at all this, Karen. It can't all be pacifist. It's kind of hard to say that. The TH after that variation on the C part. Every fiber of my frontal cortex says, of course not, this would be worth more than the universe itself. And yet... yeah, this is going to be the guy's secret lair at this point. Yeah, whoever it was that, like, loaned / gave him the van initially just did it to keep him out of trouble, you know? And it became a whole thing. The whole thing is almost like embedded in a wall of the super rare crystal. Yeah, there's something about what they're doing with these crystals that creates some sort of, like, filthy miasma, you know? And a non-trivial number of our missions have been working with people that have encountered that. Like the big mining dump truck rolled through a cloud of it when it went into the mine. A little bit there. Identify where the subcomponents are. The things I'm thinking code-wise, as far as our development project, unrelated to what we're doing right now, is it might be time to revisit using the physics server to construct the actual, like, collision objects and the like. Primarily because the way that we're structuring collision now gives us the opportunity to generate those and then keep them around properly. So we add them to an area. When we're done with them, we remove them from the area, that kind of stuff. And since we're not trying to put them all in one shape at this point. We're not running the risk of trying to juggle the internal shapes of an area. Which, if you are around for the initial implementation of that, is a great big fragile hassle. I found the owner of the scooter. Lovely old boy called Rusty seemed a bit confused and asked if I knew where the Bullseye grocery store was. It's where he gets his super discounted clearance snacks. Gonna help him down the volcano and take him to the celebrations. There's nothing I can do up here anyway. Meet us there when you're done, yeah? You mean at the grocery store or somewhere else? Your statement of location is vague, sir. Now, if it's anything like some of the last ones, as soon as we're done with this, the door is going to open and we'll deal with the next kind of segment. Otherwise, the map is just way too small and simple to be as it is. Oh yeah, definitely getting a little drowsier again. Oh, there we go. Behold! More dirt. A whole lot more dirt. Soap. We're so close up to some of these surfaces that the heavy nozzles can be a bit cumbersome to use. Just because they're either too little coverage or the coverage becomes weird once you're at that range. You're in. It's all on you now, Sprucey. You know what to do. Like, yeah, make the place all clean. Oh no, the secret mission. The what now? Yay. It's definitely the ancient culture vibe to it. Same kind of thing as the temple from last time. Okay. One pillar down. But with that said, we're going to call it here for the day, folks. Getting drowsy enough that I'm losing a couple of seconds here and there, which is for the most part why we went with this, so that it's already a chill game. So if we lose a couple of seconds, it's just that the power washer stopped for a moment. Oh, but anyway, I hope you had a good time watching with us tonight. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment, that kind of thing. It helps the channels grow. If you'd like to consider financially supporting the channel, you can do so through platform-specific means like memberships and subscriptions, as well as through other options that are in the link tree that is in my bio and video descriptions. But with that said, I hope you have a good rest of your day, folks, and I'll see you next time.